Keep it moving.
Next question is from YouTube, which reads, Ezra chapter 10, verse 1 through 3. Is this something that needed to be done at the current moment in history, or does it correlate with us today in modern time? Ezra chapter 10, verse 1 through 3.
Ezra chapter 10. Ezra 10.
Ezra chapter 10, verse 1. Now when Ezra had prayed, and when he had confessed, weeping, and casting himself down before the house of God, there assembled unto him out of Israel a very great congregation of men and women.
This is after the Babylonian captivity. We're coming out of captivity. We're trying to come back and understand we've completely lost our way.
They have mingled the holy seed with the peoples of the lands. Ezra 9:2. The phrase holy seed reflects the racially exclusivist mentality of the returnees. Exogamous marriage, or marriage to anyone other than a Jew, defiled the purity of the nation.
All right. Once we were given the grant to go back and be able to resurrect the temple of the Lord, to be able to come back and worship again, Ezra was chosen as a prophet of the Most High to go out and start cleaning up the nation.
With respect to creation, holiness is maintained when there is no confusion, that is, when the order of YHWH's creation is upheld. 21 The order of creation is upheld when mixtures are avoided, and thus hybrids are abominated. 22 Douglas cites Lef 19:2, which says that the congregation of Israel will be holy because YHWH is holy. This is followed by several statutes, including one that forbids intermixtures between different species.
He went out and lamented. He confessed, weeping, casting himself down before the Most High, sending up his prayers, and it said a great congregation of men and women came right there along with him and joined him in their supplications and in their pain and suffering, because they realized how far they fell from following after the ways of
the Gala community of Ezra considered ethnic pollution to be a primary cause of the exilic experience, and, because of this, the community was preoccupied with the notion of ethnic purity. 13 The term impure denotes a state of cultic disability and is the antonym of pure. The term holy denotes that which has been consecrated and thus belongs to God and is the antonym of profane. If a pure, profane object becomes defiled, its purity can be restored by a ritual of purification. However, holy entities should never be defiled. 14 The question of sacred and secular arises and what the differences are between them. Ezra Nehemiah advocates ethnic purity and prohibits intermarriage in order to sustain group identity. 15 The strong emphasis on purity goes against the post-colonial notion of hybridity and offers a false sense that things can remain pure and pristine.
Individuals seeing that there was a necessity to repent and come back to the laws of the Most High, there was something that needed to be done. Read on.
A very great congregation of men and women and children, for the people wept very sore. And Shechaniah, the son of Jehiel, one of the sons of Elam, answered and said unto Ezra, We have trespassed against our God, and have taken strange wives of the people of the land.
In Ezra, Shechaniah's proposal is essentially one of repentance for intermarrying. The people must turn from their wrongdoing and renew their covenant to be wholly dedicated to Yahweh alone. Shechaniah's final statement, according to the law let it be done, clearly indicates he believed that sending away the foreign women and their children was in harmony with the Mosaic law. When Ezra personally addressed the congregation of the Gala 3 days later, he commanded the people to do Yahweh's pleasure and separate themselves from the people of the land and from the foreign women. V11. There can be no question that Ezra believed that sending the foreign wives away was in harmony with the law.
Yet now there is hope in Israel concerning this thing.
So here we are. Does this apply today? Absolutely. What? Does this apply today? Absolutely. What? Does this apply today? Absolutely.
Okay!
I was slipping into darkness.
2/3 Israelites are not your people and are the enemies of the Most High. No, they're not. They're not our people. The 2/3 Israelites are not our people. they're not your people. Stop having a sore spot in your heart for the wicked. The wicked Israelites. At the end of the day, they still our people. No, they're not. They're not my people. And if you're smart, you will look at them the same way.
Wisdom of Solomon 4:3. We're going to move it down. By multiplying broad of the ungodly shall not thrive, nor take deep rooting from bastard slips, nor lay fast foundations. So because the wings of the ungodly will not thrive, the mixed race of children will not be the foundation of the Most High. This is all he's saying here. This is the problem. This is what's going on. This is what we need to understand. Why? For though they flourish in branches for a time, yet standing not fast, they shall be shaken with the wind. Now, the wind is speaking of the spirit. And it says, for though the force of the winds, they shall be rooted out. So the spirit going to root them out anyway. The imperfect branches, which is the bastard children, which it tells you right up at the top, shall be broken off, their fruit unprofitable, not ripe to eat, meat for nothing. So these children are mixed bastards, or what they doing, they're broken off from Israel. Their fruit is not ripe. Verse 6, for children begotten of unlawful beds are witnesses of the wickedness against their parents. What is this saying? Begotten children of unlawful bed. These children are the witnesses and evidence of the sin of their parents when they stand before the Most High. Because it tells you that. So when their parents in their trial.
A holy seed. Who's a holy seed? Have mingled themselves. So when you take a holy seed and mingle it with an unclean people, you just mess the seed up.
The holy seed is an extreme and rare term that elicits extensive criticism among readers of the Bible who are sensitive to ideas of racism. According to its literal meaning, this phrase implies opposition to racial biological mixing, but some people attempt to soften this impression by understanding it as a means of preserving the purity of the religion and its practices. This notion of preserving the purity of religion is unreasonably obscure. Religion is about hybridity and syncretism right from the birth of a religion. The combination of the idea of holy people with the understanding of seed in the sense of a physical remnant is a unique innovation of the text under discussion, not even alluded to in the prayer or in the book as a whole. 21 When we study the birth of Christianity, there was nothing pure about it. It emerged from a Greco-Roman Empire which heavily influenced Christian practices, thoughts and beliefs. Christianity has been heavily influenced by Greek philosophy and in particular the understanding of dualism which has resulted in problematic understanding of God and the world. It is not only Christianity which has emerged from syncretistic or non-pure ways as other major religions are in the same situation. Nothing is pure and we need to move away from this understanding that things can emerge out of purity or even remain pure.
Use the word. This is to my brothers that support that doctrine. When you want to throw out the term Mamzer as a mixed breed, but now that's not what a Mamzer is. When you really look at it, it means someone that's going through incest or another unlawful means.
The phrase, JL, I 1 feet 1 feet : 1 refers to all the people who made up the household, the patriarch or father and his spouse, their young unmarried children, their married children and their families, and servants, resident aliens, and others who were a part of the household. The JLIN one was thus the multi-generational extended family and others who comprised the household. It was a kinship term, but it also comprised ones who were attached to the family without necessarily being kin. This type compound may well represent the extended family in which the father and mother live in the central unit and their married children live in the other units surrounding the common courtyard. Clearly this structure would represent the extended family and would indicate close kinship. Thus we can see here a correspondence between archaeological finds and the Old Testament. That one's family property was of great importance is evident in the law. Narrative of Naboth's vineyard. Naboth refuses to sell his vineyard to King Ahab even for a healthy profit, or in exchange for a better piece of property, because it is the inheritance from his ancestors' fathers. It is his patrimony, his ancestral home. The property wasn't just any piece of property to Naboth, and it wasn't just Naboth's property, it belonged to his family, to his clan and to his tribe, and it would have been the property he handed on to his descendants. For these reasons Naboth couldn't sell or trade his vineyard, not even to the king. The property belonged to Naboth's clan.
Next question, bro.
Con, next question is from YouTube, which reads, what is the difference between 1 Chronicles chapter 8, verse 28, and 1 Chronicles chapter 9? Is there any difference?
1 Chronicles chapter 8 and verse 28.
8 and 28, and 1 Chronicles chapter 9.
Let's read 1 Chronicles 8:28.
1 Chronicles chapter 8 and verse 28, these were heads of the fathers by their generations, chief men. These dwelt in Jerusalem.
It is difficult to see how these genealogies in 1 Chronicles 1-9 could possibly function as means of inclusion and exclusion on the basis of the information that they contain. That is, it has been repeatedly asserted that the genealogies serve to legitimize the situation of the chronicler's time, to provide a means by which to allow some individuals to serve as priests or Levites to the exclusion of others. For example, however, this can hardly be the case because only two lists, the Davidic line and that of the leading priest, actually extend to the post-exilic period, and even the line of the leading priest does not extend beyond the return in Chronicles. The rest of the lines of descent for all of the tribes in chaps 2-8 stop well short of the exile. It is only the additional resettlement list of 1 Chr 9, 1-34, apparently lifted and adapted from Ne 11, 3-22, that extends other parts of the lines of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi into this era, and then only briefly without detailed or precise genealogical trees connecting these individuals and families back into the past. So, for example, the repeated references to other unnamed sons, children, and relatives, Benu, An, Achihim, and the mention of only the heads of families according to their ancestral houses, V9, in this list leave an ambiguous aura about how this post-exilic information would be employed as a device for legitimacy and exclusion, rather than restricting access or incorporation into the lineages of the post-exilic community. This post-exilic list provides an opportunity, a loophole, for the individuals or groups to attach themselves to these tribes as descendants of these unnamed returnees.
Okay, that's 8 and 28. And what was the other one?
The other one was 1 Chronicles chapter 9. Initially they put verse 1 but reposted without a verse, but initially it was verse 1.
Wait.
She notes the exclusive but ambiguous character of patriarchal succession. Her work explores, in particular, fissures in the patriarchal succession by referring to women, for they highlight the complexity and inclusiveness of the notion of patriarchal succession. She studies the multiple social and ideological, interrelated dynamics at work in the shaping of authoritative genealogies, including one that repeatedly deconstructs the attempt to preserve the authority of the patriarchal succession through restriction and exclusion while, at the same time, paying attention to references to women, which are framed as exceptions, and the risk of a loss of control that was associated with such exceptions within this type of ancient discourse. The response is that this risk engendered, and its
1 Chronicles 8 and 28, these were heads of the fathers by their generations, chief men. These dwelt in Jerusalem.
So, for example, the repeated references to other unnamed sons, children, and relatives, Banu, and Achihim, and the mention of only the heads of families according to their ancestral houses, v9, in this list leave an ambiguous aura about how this post-exilic information would be employed as a device for legitimacy and exclusion.
Okay, now let's read 1 Chronicles 9 and 1.
1 Chronicles 9 and 1. So all Israel were reckoned by genealogies, and behold, they were written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah, who were carried away Babylon for their transgression.
Okay, so when it says Israel is reckoned by genealogies, it's letting you know that, remember, it's dealing with genes or your gene pool. So Israel is recognized by the genes of their fathers. Okay, this is a patriarchal system that Israel goes by. The father begets a child. Okay, that child begets another child. That's a genealogy. That is a generation. Okay, so when you read in verse 28, let's read that again in 8 and 28.
These were heads of the fathers by their generations.
So it's showing you, because when you read above that, it's giving you a genealogical line. Okay, it says these are the heads by their fathers. Go ahead.
Chief men. These dwelt in Jerusalem.
So these were men of their generation, because when you read up, you will see. Let's read verse 16.
Verse 16. In chapter 8.
Yes.
Okay. Verse 16. And Michael and Ispa and Joha, the sons of Beriah.
So it's letting you know that these were the sons of Beriah. Go ahead.
And Zebediah and Meshullam and Hezekiah and Heber, Ishmerai also, and Jezliah and Jobab, the sons of Elpaal, and Joachim and Zechri and Zabdi and Elianai and Zildai and Eliel.
Okay, so now I'm just showing you that these are the genealogies of fathers that are begetting their children. Okay, so now I'm just showing you that these are the genealogies of fathers that are begetting their children. Okay, so now I'm just showing you that these are the genealogies of fathers that are begetting their children.
The order of the tribes in the introductory list of 1CHR2. 1-2 duplicates no other sequential list, although it seems to derive from a similar account in Gen 35 hours, and 23 minutes 26 that is organized by Mother, Lee's sons, Rachel's sons, Bilhah's sons, and Zilpah's sons.
Now, read verse 1 in chapter 8.
Verse 1. Now Benjamin begat Bela, his firstborn, Ashbel the second, and Ahara the third.
So now this is a genealogy dealing with the children of Benjamin. Okay, so you'll read on down, and it's just showing you how Benjamin had his sons. Okay, he had several sons, and then these sons had children. Okay, but notice it's only bringing up the males. Why only the males? Because it's a patriarchal system, meaning that our generations and genealogy from bloodline to bloodline, from generation to generation, is defined by the father, not the mother.
The changes made by the chronicler from the original in Genesis reveal his intention in describing the families of the peoples and show that this chapter is not merely an introduction but also contains its own message. The two changes are related to the chronicler's aim of presenting the Israelite tribes as the chosen people and the other lineages as rejected branches. The heading of Keturah's sons in Chronicles differs from the heading in Genesis. Verse 32 states, "The sons of Keturah, Abraham's concubine. She bore Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua, the sons of Jokshan, Sheba and Dedan. However, the version in the source in Genesis XXV1-3 is, Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah. She bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan was the father of Sheba and Dedan.
Okay, some cultures look at the mother, but remember, the man carries the seed. The man carries the sperm, which is the seed, which is his DNA and genealogy that he places to the woman. She brings forth that child, and that child is what the father is. Correct? And that's how the Most High has created that from the beginning.
Genesis 46. And Israel took his journey with all that he had, and came to Beersheba, and offered sacrifices unto the God of his father Isaac. And God spake unto Israel in the visions of the night, and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here am I. And he said, I am God, the God of thy father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation. I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again, and Joseph shall put his hand upon thine eyes. And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father, and their...
Who did Jacob, his wives? Zilpah, Bilhah, what were they? You understand? Israel's determined by genealogy, and the genealogy is recognized by what? What your father is.